Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our video game show here at Geekverse. I am the Switch 2 owner, Dylan Moss, and I have with me another Switch 2 owner, but also the golden money shot, Travis Snell. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing good. Been a busy night, but I'm excited to talk about some Summer Games Fest. Lots of interesting, I think, topics we'll dive into, so can't wait to see what goes down.
Mm-hmm. And we have the Voyager himself, Kirklin Patzer. Fresh green hat. Is that a new hat, buddy? How are you doing tonight?
It looks green, but it's more gray. But yeah, it is a new hat. I don't think it's
Damn.
made an appearance on stream yet,
Let me
but
just give him the
yeah,
water here. So let's see. Now it looks black the way you're moving around, but okay.
it's
ambiguous.
multicolored. It's like a chameleon. But
It's like that
no,
dress, the blue. What is it?
Yeah,
White and gold
exactly.
versus blue and
Gold,
black.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
what is it actually?
What did you guys see back then?
I don't even remember.
I
I feel like
blue
I've
and
seen
the
black.
options
both.
again.
Was
I think it was
black,
blue
and
white
gold.
for me.
Blue white. Oh, okay.
I think it
Isn't that what it
blue
was?
and black for me.
Okay.
I think the other
I
one's
swear
white
I've
gold.
seen it
so
in
you might
both
still have.
instances, though. I swear
Yeah.
they're just different photos. But
Yeah.
no, I feel a little left
No,
out.
no.
Everyone's getting their Switch 2s, and I'm just still rocking my Switch 1. But no, I'm doing good.
You're going to Japan, though. You know, you're about to embark
Yeah,
on
exactly.
a big thing
Right.
that we don't get to
Exactly.
go on. So
I am glad
that's-
And they're
Dylan told
cheaper
me
in
that
Japan,
they're,
so you can buy one while you're there.
Well, you told me that they're region locked, no?
Well, you just have to learn Japanese, and then you're
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to learn it before your trip anyways, right?
Yeah,
You're
Duolingo
gonna speak
it up.
fluently in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We are back for the fourth time this week. I guess third time. To talk about more video game showcases. Of course, it's the fake E3 season, but there's all sorts of stuff tonight. We're going to talk about the Summer Game Fest show as well as the IOI showcase. Now, I know there's a couple other showcases on tonight, this weekend, even after Summer Game Fest. You know, some of that stuff we'll cover at another point in time, but those are the two showcases we're going to be talking about here tonight. We did the Sony State of Play earlier this week. We also did predictions, which, you know, some of those predictions were still Xbox things, so you can check that out if you need to before Sunday.
I got 1
Fingers
point
up
so
in
far. I'm
sky.
happy with that. I got.
Okay.
What was my? I'm halfway because I got. We'll talk about. I don't know if we will. I'm not getting that Jurassic World point, but I got the
Not at
James
this point, I
Bond
don't think.
point. I got the James Bond point, and now all I need is one new Xbox game on the PlayStation and Switch, and I'm good to go. So I'm hoping to go 2 for 3 at least. You know.
Yes. So yeah, we'll be back on, I guess, the Sidequest Tuesday morning is the plan. You can look forward to that for the Xbox Showcase coverage. I've been doing a couple watch-along live reactions to the other two showcases. I might try and do that for the Xbox as well. We'll see what Sunday brings me. But if not, yeah, check out Sidequest on Tuesday for that. And I guess that's kind of the last thing then, until if there's a Nintendo Direct later this month or something like that. But yeah, we're getting down to it.
Then the next episodes after that will be Switch 2 coverage. So after
Yes.
that, popping off. So be fun.
Yeah, as I mentioned, mine arrived today, which was not stressful, but it's funny because Taylor bought it
It's right back
for
there.
me. Yeah, there's the box. Taylor bought it for me through his Amazon because that's how we were able to get the pre-order. And so the only way you can track an Amazon package is through Amazon itself. And I guess he couldn't give me his credentials, but he didn't. So he was just having to text me every once in a while, and he's like, "Oh, it's out for delivery." Sent me a screenshot. It's like, "Oh, 9 stops to go," but the guy was a block away. I'm like, how many people bought Switches on this fucking street? 1 stop to go, 0 stops to go. When the guy was outside of my house, the Amazon truck was there for 20 minutes before he was able to find the Switch buried in the bottom of his truck or something like that. So
You're gonna get a
just
sorting
sitting-
issue like I almost
Yeah.
got. You know.
I was standing in the garage just are you gonna get out of here, buddy? I need this thing now. But yeah, I finally have that. Taylor and Travis have theirs as well, so we will do, I don't know when. At some point we will cover that as soon as we've had some time to play some Mario Kart and get our hands on the console a little bit more, so that should be fun. Right now I've just downloaded 6 million things so far.
I have to say he's not here to defend himself, but he won't give you his Amazon credentials, but he'll let you give you your credit card.
Yes.
Very, very tricky guy,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not complaining too much. He was sending me a lot of updates today, and he
Right.
was like, "Hey, I'm at work, but just call me at any point if if things are weird are happening." So, shout out to
Probably
Taylor Field for
Just cancel
nabbing
that card
pre-order for me.
right away.
Yeah, because
Yeah, it's true. It could be anywhere.
he probably learned that maneuver from his brother-in-law, so you want to be careful there and
Yeah.
clear all signs. So
Yes.
Flex move.
Okay. I think that's my only kind of quick shout-outs here, and then we'll do some more plugs later. But let's get into Summer Game Fest first here. So this is 2 hours of all sorts of announcements. Kirkland, I don't think you fully finished the show, and I think you're probably skimming through. So I don't know if you really
Yeah.
have like a opinion on the overall showcase, but from what you've seen, the things that you've seen the headlines of and whatnot, I don't know. I guess just your impressions on it. It's hard to ask that full when you haven't really fully dove into it yet. But what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, I feel like I was definitely just surprised on like how much was actually shown, because I just watched like the classic IGN, everything new that was announced. It's like a 20-minute episode,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
really quick, and I was kind of like watching that as I was getting ready, so I definitely skimmed over even that. But I mean, just watching like the big ones, like the Resident Evil trailer, I thought that was really impressive and just really surprising, like not something that I was expecting to see to that level. And yeah, just some other things like Mad's names popped out, like that definitely got me a little bit giddy. And then like a couple little sleeper hits. Like I feel like my favorite thing about these little festivals, of course, it's really hyped to get those big announcements, those big AAA IPs or whatever, but is like the little like smaller games, like to my name, like the Lego Voyager game, like that just looks so fun to me, and like just like those little indie like titles. So yeah, it's definitely exciting to be going over this, and I'm excited to, even afterwards, to just like watch it after, anything that I would have missed on.
Yeah, there was another game called Ball X Pit that from Devolver Digital that looks it has like Loop Hero vibes to it. I think you're gonna really like that trailer.
Yeah,
so check that out at some point too.
Oh,
that was in the Devolver. I don't know if they did a showcase. I think it was just Devolver's only announcement of the day, but check that out at some point. Yeah, it was like after Summer Game Fest there was Day of the Devs, and then after that was this Devolver thing, but it was only one game, but it was like 15 minutes. It was like a whole skit. It was crazy, but
so
the game looked cool.
They're still doing weird stuff, right? Like they've been doing for
this. Yeah, they didn't have like a stage presence. This was just like a. I guess it was like a meta. You know how a lot of these trailers are like you get at behind the scenes, the cameras in the studio with the team, and they're like, this is our inspirations for this game, and like talking through all this stuff. It was kind of like that, but a bit of a parody. So it was a bit different than like their showcase parodies. It was more like a developer spotlight parody, I guess, with this very silly premise and a weird looking game. But yeah, looks cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Travis, Travis, you were tuned into the showcase. You even jumped into the live stream for the last like 5 minutes or something, like 10 minutes. Yeah. What did you think of SGF overall?
Yeah, one thing, because you mentioned about like the fake E3 weekend, it is kind of funny that we're in the era, or we're going to be in the era where people that are starting podcasts and doing these things, where it's like the Summer Game Fest week, like we know it because we grew up with that, but it's funny there's going to be a whole grop of people, both grop of people. I'm putting it together.
No grops.
That's not a thing. Like it is like E3 is just like, oh, that's something they used to do, and it's dead, right? Like that's nothing. It's just so it's funny when you said that. It's like, oh man, sooner or later this is just Summer Games Fest weekend. Hopefully, I guess there's a time it eclipses. So that's one. Two, I had said this on the predictions, and I had said this in the chat too, that I was expecting like a 3.5. I'll hold my rating to the end of it. I'll say it's not a fail, but it's definitely the closest it's been to a fail probably since they've started this, because I think we've seen shows that are good or bad or great. I'll take that back. I don't think I've ever seen a bad Summer Games Fest. I think I've seen disappointing, and I would not even call this one a bad one. My expectations were lowered, so that helped. Again, I said on predictions, there's kind of been like a rumbling that this was going to be like a smaller one, and I think it's weird because speaking of E3, we went through this time where E3 was the hot thing, right? You got to get on that stage, and then people started doing their own things, and then Jeff came around, and it's almost like that came back where everyone's like, oh, we got to go to Summer Games Fest, we got to go to Game Awards, but now it's almost going again where the devs and companies like, well, we can do our own thing. Like Xbox now, like there was nothing Xbox on the show, which years past before that would not have been the case. They would have been all there. I remember Dylan, I think there was one year me and Taylor and you did, I don't know if it was a reaction or something, but it was tons of Xbox, and there was no Nintendo, no Sony. I don't think it was Game Awards. So I think it was the Summer Games Fest, and that's where it was because they were trying to, go up on that hype. And I think I just remember that because I was probably bugging Taylor or whatnot about it. But like it seemed like Xbox would always use this event, but now it feels like we're at the beginning of E3 where now PlayStation did their own thing, and they had a couple things here. Nintendo Switch had like a Cyberpunk 2 trailer.
Yeah.
The console,
which was like 10 seconds long. It's like, what? That's the only thing they showed off. That's crazy.
And then Xbox tomorrow, like even the IO and stuff, like that was a strange thing that they've been all over. But that's where it's funny that it's going back to before the last, I'd say 3 years. It's like, well, Jeff's doing a show, so let's go hang out with Jeff. But now it's starting to regress, and that puts Keighley in a much tougher spot, because if you have third parties and then the big three, that's an easy 2 hours. Where this show did not need to be 2 hours. I think the pacing was off because of a few things which we'll talk about. I think there's a lot of similar games shown, just look and feel, which that has been a problem before, but this year felt exponentially like that. You talked about this in the middle, and I agreed with you. You can check out Dylan's live watch along. There was times where trailers would turn to other trailers, which you're like, is this the same game or is it not the same game? There's other things like, we'll talk about the Resident Evil reveal. I think I'm more on the negative side of, I didn't really like how they do that. I guess I could see them trying to be like, oh, we're building hype and being fun about it. But like, I didn't think that was fun. I thought it kind of killed the pacing again to bring up Resident Evil, and then, oh, it's a sale. Bring up Resident Evil. Ah, no, there's nothing here. And then Resident Evil 9. And see, Kirklin wouldn't even know that. They teased Resident Evil twice. And at the end of the second one, the guy's like, hey, we have nothing to show right now, but in a blink of an eye, it'll be soon. But it was more like alluding to like down the line. And then at the end, like, guess what it is here. And I actually think Keighley talked it up way too much. I love Resident Evil. The way it's like one of the most ambitious franchise. It's like, that's not Resident Evil in my opinion, right? So I think there was a lot of pacing issues, a lot of confusion issues. And I just don't think they had the chutzpah amount of games to do a full 2 hours. I think this would have been much better. And I know they got to keep the ads. I'm not saying cut the ads. I think you got to make some choices to cut some games, because as a director of this, whatever he is, of this show, of this company, whatever, you got to look and say, okay, we have a lot of this. Maybe save this for Gamescom or Game Awards or something, right? Or do something else down the line. I don't know. But I think hour and a half, this would have felt much better. But this was, luckily I was having a good time. I was watching it. I was in the chat with Dylan and Mike and Nesbubs and Clay and some others and whatnot. That count is God Loves Me 69. So we've revealed, so that's
I don't know
good
what
to
it stands for. SD.
No, we'll have to ask him.
GG or something. Yeah.
But it was. I just don't think it was a great show. But luckily, I wasn't disappointed by it, because I was not expecting like big reveals or anything. But then I just think the actual pacing has not been good, which I think we talked about before, where I felt like the last Game Awards and Summer Games Fest were one of his better ones, and that kind of goes. But I think this is one of his weaker one. And I meant to, before I throw it over to Dylan, I wanted to see, because he always does this. So he has 78,000 people voted on Twitter. A got 24%, B got 31%, C got 22%, and D got 22%. So obviously B is the winner, but that is a very, like, that's all over to me. It's like, yeah, sure, B's the winner, and I think that's the thing. I think there's leveling degrees, because I've seen tons of people say this is one of the worst things, like Games Fest ever, you could say, but I've seen like a lot of like failing grades and those type of things of like, this was bottom of the barrel. I don't think it was that, but then I also think there was like some E3 cringe moments, which we'll get into. Maybe we won't, but like that fucking guy with the whatever hat and stuff. That's where it's like that stuff you can cut right there. Just show the game. Cut, that's 3 minutes. You cut enough of those 3 minutes, you get down to an hour and a half, and it feels much smoother. So very bumpy road, very disappointing on a presentation level. Games, I think there's some fun stuff here. Other than Rez and a certain DLC, I don't think there was anything though I was like, man, I'll remember this in a week. Really, maybe there'll be something to talk about, but yeah, it was a light show for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm feeling pretty much the same. We always kind of joke that like, seems like a lot of Keighley's shows, whether it's Summer Game Fest or Game Awards, often have like a theme, and there's like a lot of games that tie to that one theme. And it's funny, sometimes he bundles those things together, sometimes like separates them on the show. Like it was last year, a couple of years ago, where it was just like all these space horror kind of freaky games. And this one to me had like 3 flavors. There was like a lot of dark fantasy games, there was a lot of anime games, and there's also a lot of MMOs. And unfortunately, like just like a lot of some of these multiplayer MMO things, like I think the games that looked the coolest to me, I then found out at some point during the trailer at the end that's like, oh, this is an MMO, or this is like a streamer multiplayer type game. So it's like, these look really cool, but I'm just probably not going to play these. So even though they're interesting to see, I just don't think they're actually games that I'm going to be like checking out. And they didn't go on my wish list as I talk about like state of play after that. I was like, oh, I'm going to add all these things to my list, keep track of them. There was less of these in this showcase than I think that state of play, which is crazy because that was, a lot shorter and had way fewer announcements. But there's just a lot of things in here that looked cool, but I just don't think I would actually end up playing. There's, a couple fun announcements, but the biggest pop for me was DLC for a 9-year-old game, and like I'm biased because it's one of my favorite games ever, but like it was still like, oh, okay, that's the best we got. And then, Resident Evil, I've been looking forward to that. But I agree with Travis. I think the the way they like edged us with that was not to my liking. I was not a big fan of the way they did that. To me, it wasn't like fun. It was just kind of annoying and kind of ruined the pacing to some extent. Definitely felt pretty long. I think in terms of it feeling like just riddled with ads, I actually think that was maybe a little bit of an improvement from the previous SGFs.
I agree.
You know, it's always tricky, right? It's like all this stuff is ads because it's just trailers for new games, but there's a clear delineation of like, oh yeah, this company just shelled out big bucks to like put some, you know, TV spot type trailer.
Do you like
versus,
dude
like,
wipes? Yeah, that
yeah,
type of stuff,
yeah. There's like a little delineation there, and I just feel like this was less egregious with that stuff. And so yeah, there's a lot of interesting games in here, but I think, you know, some ones good to put on the radar, but I think I just need to see a lot more of them. So yeah, overall kind of underwhelming, but I don't know, it was still like fun enough for the most part. So let's go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, because I'm not sure where your rundown is, and it's the second thing, so I don't think you care about me skipping to it. But that's where it's a tough thing, like something like Hideo, right? He comes out, Death Stranding, a month away or whatnot. I do think that most people that are sold on that game are sold, and people that are unsold, or like, I don't think a clip or preview, it might change a few percentage, but nothing big. But still at that point, pick something a bit more exciting to show, right? I get it. Yeah. Hideo has to be, and that's a meme, right? And every time Jeff has a show, whether it is a video announcement, remember that one time, Dylan, they're like hyping Hideo up in like the second hour, and he's like, I got a podcast. And I was like, all right. And that's where you need to be careful.
I forgot about that, to be honest, but yeah, that did happen.
You remember it now? Yeah. And that's where you don't want the Hideo thing. You want to feel like a tree, like, oh, Jeff and him are connected. We're going to get Hideo at some point. You don't want just to seem like a free space box. This is what this felt like of, well, you're already in town for your Death Stranding thing. That's probably why they didn't show more off, because there's more cool stuff there. But I think it's just like, do something else. Even them too, like, I don't know how they fucking missed it. How did they not have that segment transition into the Hitman DLC and have Hideo and Mads on stage together for like a fun moment? Like, that's something where cool, like, yeah. Especially in the time when Hideo's time, he's like, you know, this character Neil, a lot of people love Cliff, and unfortunately Mads isn't coming back, but he's one of my favorite characters. Like, he was giving Mads all this love, and that would have been so good if he came out and like it would have been like a cool Lady moment. Gaga yeah, but it would have been cool when he's talking to him like, oh, I wish I could be able to see Mads again. I hope to talk to him soon. And then he walks out, and then if he doesn't leave the stage, Jeff, you could do something like, oh, Mads, why are you still here? Like, oh, well, there's something like there's just no brainers of you have like easy transition from point A to point B. But my point is the Death Stranding clip. Even myself, who that is a top 10 game when we do our list later this year or later this month, it was a boring clip with no context. Like, that didn't work like the way when you reveal Mads in the last one or Norman. It's like, it was such a strange, like, show off a fucking weird creature. Like, show something else. Like, just this weird, like dry dynamic and like, you belong to, whatever it was. And that was between that and the game they started with. That's when I was like, uh-oh. Weird. And that same thing, you could cut it. Like, I love Hideo, I love Death Stranding, but you could cut that. Didn't do anything for anybody. You know? Do
you guys know those actors that they showed off?
No. Blind spot for me.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I feel like that was such a big hype cycle of Death Stranding 1 was like, I guess, I don't know how big Mark Qualley was back then, but like, oh, Mark Qualley's in this, and Mads Mikkelsen or Guillermo del Toro or
even Norm Reedus when they started, right?
Yeah,
the first trailer it was like, whoa,
that was such a fun part of the hype cycle of that, and Leia Seydoux as well. But yeah, I feel like with this, like, I don't know, I guess just maybe these actors are great, but like, it's, to me, if Travis doesn't know who an actor is, like, no offense, but you're on a little bit of a lower tier.
They're probably foreign actors that Hideo likes and other stuff, so that's where I would say is definitely a blind spot for me. But as far as right now, all we've gotten, is Elle Fanning, and that's really it for like the new, like, hot newcomers, right? And that's where I joked, is like, do they blow their budget the first game around on these actors and whatnot? I just, especially because like the past year we've seen them have like pictures with George Miller and pictures with Robert Pattinson, so it's like, oh, maybe that's another game. It's like, oh, is he gonna get one of these people in his game? Because with Death Stranding, that's what happened, right? We'd see him with somebody, and then months later they'd be in the game, and it's like, oh man, he was probably scanning. Where that doesn't happen now. I guess Hideo's just more popular than like, even Jordan Peele, right? It's like, that'd be fun to get him in there for like something. Like, even Guillermo del Toro, they just used his likeness. He didn't voice it, so it's odd. So for that fact too, I expect this game to probably sell like a little less too, just because I feel like that one had bigger, just fun names. Where this is, it's, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah, where are we at with that trailer, Kirklin? As a Death Stranding recent convert.
Yeah, you finished it, right? You said last week you're gonna finish it.
No, it's a work in progress. I definitely agree with. I think because I just don't know these actors, there's something to that on like the initial hype of the trailer itself, and I think also just the actual like what was shown was just a little bit less exciting compared to like the first game's cinematic trailers that we had seen. I think just comparing the two, I like those ones a lot more. So definitely underhyped. But I mean, I also haven't beat the game, so I feel like my overall hype for the second game isn't as hype as it should be. And unfortunately, this trailer didn't do anything to really spike it.
Yeah, it seemed pretty siloed from anything. Like, it didn't really match with anything I've seen previously from Death Stranding 2 trailers.
Yeah.
And these are like new characters that weren't in the first game, so and they're not like a known location. So it just felt like an odd. I don't know. I don't really know what the point was, other than obviously he wanted to get his buddy Kojima up on stage, or maybe Kojima was just like, if you don't let me on the stage now, I'm never coming back. I don't know.
I would love it.
With the
He's like a
translator
secretly
there, just
mean
like
guy.
just doing the shit talk back and forth.
Just
Hey,
talking
Dale,
about
it's great to see
my podcast
you.
again.
Yeah, and then Hideo speaks to his translator, and he's just like, "You don't fuck with him." He goes on stage, he shows his stuff, but
Yeah.
Again, they do have a thing. I think it's tomorrow, something this weekend, right? It's just like a Death Stranding thing, and
Okay. I didn't know
Yeah.
if that. I don't know if they announced that like they were going to be at Summer Game Fest and that was it. So okay, I guess there's more. Then that's fine.
there is. Yeah, I go back and forth how much I'll watch. I think that might be a thing I read because I am at the point where I don't. We're so close. I don't
Yeah,
need to
me
see
too.
anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. Yeah, and then the thing before that, which opened the show, was Mortal. Well, actually, first it was, I guess, Jeff talking for a few minutes. He was like, "These are the top 10 selling games of the year," and had like a little spiel for a bit there. Cool. And then Mortal Shell was the first game to open up the showcase, which I said on the stream, like, I don't know if this is a good sign for what this stream is overall. If like usually like your first and last things are, huge games, and then you sprinkle them throughout as well. But it seemed like a kind of a lower note to start on. But obviously people love their Souls games. That first one was, a decent enough game. So we got a new one here, Mortal Shell 2. That's that game.
it just looked
You have a thought on that
gross and creepy. That was about it, But I agreed with you that when it started that way, I was like, unless they're doing the Sony route of let's save just everything big for the very end, but that wasn't the case. Because to me, I think that's very much like professional wrestling. That's how we're talking about Gauntlet memories. When we did like the big events, you always start with like a hot match and end with a hot match. It's just like a good way to just get you into it. So when you start with this, and there's a lot of sequels that I'll flat out show my like non-gamer face. I was like, I've never even heard of the first one, So there's a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, 2, okay, good to know. So
You're like, weird, they're starting with the second game.
yeah.
Next up, another actor who was not on stage but is in a video game is Tom Hardy in a game. Don't forget this really iconic title, Chronicles Medieval. Chronicles Medieval, everyone. one of the most generic video game titles I've ever heard. But this is like a I don't know, a classic knights going to war kind of thing. I don't really know what the gameplay is going to be exactly. We'll see what's going on there. War commander type situation. But yes, like just as the name would suggest, it seemed quite generic to me. So I don't know what to think about this one. A weird one for Tom Hardy to pop in on. I feel like he's a big enough star that he could get like any big game. If he just showed up at CD Projekt Red's door and like, hey, I want to play Geralt in the new Witcher game, they'd be like, okay, sure, you can do it. So it's a weird choice to go with a new developer and Chronicles Medieval.
That dev's translator threatened Tom Hardy, like, you better do this or we're going to release the files. But strange, but I didn't think much of this one.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, we got a couple. We got Moses Kirklin. You're a big Sonic fan. You interested in racing as Sonic via a go-kart in Sonic Crossworlds Racing?
I feel like I'm just so like ingrained in Mario Kart that like I never give these like different kart games a chance, really. Like even like Crash Team Racing I thought was fun, but it's still like I just prefer Mario Kart, and I'm really hesitant to like I think try these other racers. I don't know, it looks fun. Like if it was put in front of me at a stream or something, I would definitely try it, but not something I would be seeking out, dropping my own money on. Yeah. And I mean, with the release of the new Mario Kart as well, it's like, well, that would be the next one that I'd be
Real
getting.
bad timing. I know it's I know it's September, but that's like you should have got that out before. My opinion. Like I know you can't. That's not how things work. But it's just I just feel like option B is right there, while option A is already out, So
yeah, and you had the developer up here who was like and our game is going to be available cross-platform on all the platforms, which I feel like was his stab at Nintendo of like, take that, Nintendo. We're on
cool.
all these platforms. And Nintendo's like, I don't care. We're going to sell 3 million Switch
We're
2s
making
on
a
day
sequel
one.
to one of the
Like,
best-selling consoles of all
like,
time.
go off, man. But
Yeah,
we're
where's
going to
your
make a lot
Sega
more money
at,
than you.
you know? There's a lot of, like, we talk about that. We talked about that guy at the end. There's a lot of just, like, you don't need
I have a
these
theory for
shots.
why that is. I'll bring it up with the other guy
Okay.
later on. But yeah,
And
so
for me,
anyway,
I was just gonna, it's different than the No Way Out developer, or the A Way Out developer when he did that with the Oscars. It's like it's a completely
yeah,
different
yeah.
medium, and it was still kind of fun. I still thought it was random because like but like I kind of
Fuck
got
the
that.
Oscars.
Yeah, it's like okay, that's kind of fun. But when it's there was somebody. Was it that guy? I thought there was somebody took like I thought there was about 2 shots of Call of Duty, and I just feel like as Jeff, it's like, do you want that on your stage? Like no. Oscar, fucking Marty Scorsese's not going to set Jeff down and be like, hey, I really don't like what you're doing here at their show. They don't care. But someone in the game community, Call of Duty, if they see like a couple devs taking shots, it's like, hey, like
Yeah.
the next time you ask us for a preview, fuck you, Keely. Like we're not going to do that. We'll go Xbox. It feels weird to take shots at your other people that are your peers when they haven't done it first. You know, it just was
yeah.
strange. Was a weird show.
Yeah. And anyway, the game Sonic Crossroads, the concept here is that there's other Capcom and otherwise characters that appear in here as playable characters. So we saw Ichiban from like a dragon. We saw Joker from Persona and Steve from Minecraft. The Joker and Steve ones are funny to me just because those are 2 of the DLC characters added to Smash Ultimate. And so to have them both in here, and Sonic, of course, is in Smash as well, is kind of just fun, you know, because I don't think like Nintendo... You know, obviously with World, they kind of backed away from the crossover stuff. In Mario Kart 8, there was like, you know, Villager from Animal Crossing, there's Splatoon characters and all these other things, but they've kind of pulled back on that, at least. Well, maybe they have some hidden ones in there. I just haven't unlocked them yet because I haven't even played the game yet, but it seems like they kind of pulled back from that. So it's fun that another series is kind of doing some of this crossover stuff because, yeah, to get like a Minecraft map in a kart game is like a fun idea. So I'm like Kirkland, I would like to play this game, but am I going to shell out 60 bones for it? That ain't going to happen. So anyway, that was Sonic Crossroads Racing. Next up was a game that I thought had a great style. It's a Mickey Mouse sort of game called Mouse PI for Hire, which is kind of like, a noir Mickey Mouse game, first person, obviously very cartoony and quite slapstick. I don't know, just super creative, super fun. I feel like
Oh, Switch got him. Switch 2 got him.
The
He was
downloads.
saying,
The
he was
downloads
saying
are taking
before,
over.
folks, some downloads might stop him here, and he's thinking about it.
I wonder what game is doing it right now.
This was my it was my first time seeing this Mickey PI game. I liked it. I had seen online some people were like surprised there's no release date, so I guess it's something that has been around for a little bit. This game, and so I saw people were keep them
so
there, keep them
weird.
there.
That
I
was
saw
so
people
weird.
were a little upset. I was saying, Dylan, that I guess this game's been around for a bit, and people were maybe expecting like a release date or something. But what I saw was cool, and always good to get Troy Baker in another game.
I feel like it was at the Game Awards, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this looked really cool. I love the art style. I love the art style of, just this old like Mickey Steam engine. I feel like that's what drew me to Cuphead, and then I kind of fell off Cuphead because it was hard and it was frustrating. But just the first person aspect is really, really fun, and just some of the gun animations look really cool. So yeah, really creative and just looks like a fun time.
Next up was a game called End of Abyss, which I don't know, kind of top-down sci-fi freaky thing. It kind of reminded me a lot of Inside. That was one of the vibes I was getting from this. I don't know. I think it looked really cool. And this is, I don't know if this was the thing that segued into the Unreal Engine trailer or if that was at a later point in the showcase, but that did happen at some point in here. This game is in Unreal, which is, just a pretty crazy engine. Can show off some pretty insane visuals. So I thought this game looked really cool. Top-down kind of shooter thing. So definitely this is one of the few that's kind of on my radar. I want to keep this one on
No,
my
I'm
eyes.
I'm right there with you, man. This one was big surprise for me. I feel like the top down like horror game is just like a really interesting genre. It reminds me of like old Flash games that I played back in the day. Probably like something a little bit similar. There's another game. It's called Darkwood. Came out a long time ago, but it's like a top down survival. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So it's just it's interesting how scary they can make a game, even though it's played like that. I mean, Project Zomboid's kind of like that as well. But really love the art style on this. So definitely is going to be on my radar.
Yeah. looked cool, but I have nothing more to add than you guys said. Looked, I don't know if I'd ever get around this big backlog, but looked interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I should say, as I usually do with these showcases, we're not going to talk about every single game. I've removed some things in here that I don't think have the sauce. But yeah, if I forget anything, we can bring them up later. Game of Thrones: War of Westeros is a what's it called? An RTS game that's coming out at some point. We didn't see any gameplay. We just got a cinematic, which was gorgeous. But Travis, you kind of described this as like a what if scenario thing as well. Which I guess makes sense for an RTS because you're kind of always rewriting history whenever you play an RTS, different battles. I mean, if the game looks, as a visual style like this, obviously this is a CG cutscene, so it looks amazing. But I think, Game of Thrones and RTS, like that's a cool combo. It feels like a lot of the other big IPs aren't really getting RTS games right now. It seems like a genre that's kind of, it's not extinct, but it's definitely, not big popping right now. So I think it's pretty cool to see this for Game of Thrones, especially after some of the other Game of Thrones things recently have been like, I don't know, a couple mobile games and like lesser things in a way. So I think this has a lot of potential, but who knows what it actually really looks like.
I'm hoping it's good because we're in no way anywhere near close to a Battle for Middle Earth 3 or anything to that ilk. So. Right. I would love it if there could be something, obviously it would not be the exact same, but something it is more medieval fantasy, like a Lord of the Rings, so it's like if you could scratch that itch of, a whole, I used to love where I can't remember what the clan was called, if they're just dark or Sauron and whatnot, but it's like literally just, you got the orcs, the Urukais, the Ringwraiths, Sauron can be, like, it was just like, that's the bad team. It's like with the White Walkers, everything. You could definitely do that. And yeah, obviously him killing Jon Snow, and then Jon Snow does not die in Game of Thrones. So that reminded me a little bit of, not Battle for Middle Earth, funny enough, but Lord of the Rings Conquest, where that was the good story, was just, okay, you played through the movie, but when you play on the bad side, it was like, what if Sauron got the ring back? And I think that's a fun, that's a good way in real-time strategies. Not any of them, I don't think, have deep stories, right? I don't think anything really pulled that off, none that come to mind, but that's like a fun, okay, what if this scenario went different and here would be the battle you could portray, right? And that's the same thing, because then the battles can go different ways. They don't need to stay to the books or the games or the movies or shows, god damn it, and just be like, well, we can't have these type of beasts right here because they didn't exist at this point in the show or the lore. It's like, well, if you're just starting to go down wild paths of Jon Snow being bad or whatnot. So this is, again, purely like, we'll wait a long time to see what the word is, whatnot, because I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know who was doing it. I don't know what their history is with it. I don't know if they got a history of making great type of games like this. So
I'll see if I can find that out.
Yeah, hopefully if it's somewhat decent, I would pick it up, or I would even just wait for sale or whatnot, because that's the bad thing. The Battle for Middle Earth 2 game is not backwards compatible. It's one of those bad license game that's just locked on the 360 forever. Yeah, like those, the old WWE games, the old Spider-Man games, Marvel Alliance for a while. So it just sucks. Those games are just in the ether, right? And we're gonna play this here on the stream because I found my remotes, and we're gonna make sure that everyone brings their Xbox 360 remotes. Finally, we will
60 remotes for Xbox
I remember we boot up for the stream. We were so hyped, and then it's like, oh, it didn't work. This year for Extra Life, we will for sure play that fucking game because we've been talking about for almost a decade now. But
the last 2 years, I feel like I've been cock blocked because I think the first year you had the case, but the game wasn't in it or something. And then
I think
last year we had it, and then we had no remotes. I was so close.
Yeah,
just looking at the menu, wishing I could play with
hearing the music. Yeah, so if you get something close to that with Game of Thrones, that would be a lot of fun, lots of potential.
Yeah. No, this is a really fun pairing. RTSs are just one of my favorite genre of games of all time. And Travis, there's definitely RTS games with deep stories. There's you just haven't played the right ones, but
give me some. That'd be great because I'm not saying that.
Spellforce.
I don't know why
that was a really interesting one.
The insult here, my God, I'm asking.
I mean, Warcraft 3. That's the one I grew up on. I love the story of that game. Age of Mythology. There's some good stories in there.
Do you get cutscenes and stuff in them and everything?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because it's
they're
just
not full cinematics,
yeah,
to the ilk of Resident Evil, but
that's just, I feel. Do you ever have cutscenes in between the battles? Is it cutscene and you're in the middle of battle, cutscene and a battle again?
Yeah. Oh
yeah, that's awesome because I feel like most ones I've played are very just the enemy's in there and they're gonna bring us down. Let's take them out, and then it's you go on the mission. That's it. Because that's a hard genre to tell a story point, right? So
true.
Yeah, no, give me a fucking list and I'll put my toes in there. So
yeah, no, that looks really cool. I like the.
Pull that up again. Is that the actual game?
Those are screenshots of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks
I don't know if there's footage.
2 unit counts,
but it looks great.
I'm liking.
I like
all
this
that,
world
though.
map situation.
Oh
snowy
yeah.
area. Looks
Oh
nice.
yeah,
I
that's.
gotta upgrade my computer.
Is it gonna
And this
only
d-
be PC only? I imagine.
Ooh,
I
I
mean,
didn't
Age
catch
of
that,
Mythology
actually.
Retold was released on consoles, so that makes
Okay.
me hopeful that more
Yeah.
RTSs are going to be going to consoles.
And I looked
feel
at
like
this
that's-
developer. They have made other RTS games, not ones that I've
Okay,
heard of, but they
cool.
have a couple on their resume. So it's not like they're just first time in this genre or anything like that.
And Kirklin, that's why I might be missing some of those because I've only played them on console before, which I know people
Yeah.
say is sacrilege of like you gotta play them on a PC. I understand the mechanics, but as a non-PC gamer, I can't remember. It was Battlefield, and there was another one back in the day that was like I had to find it. It was like an army game. There's lots of reds and lots of blues. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. So I hope it's on.
I feel like that's just the
consoles.
colors of RTSs. The
That could
players
be it.
always
Yeah,
blue,
a lot of
enemies
red and
always
blue.
red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we actually take our first break of the show? So yeah, we're gonna do a very quick ad break after I thank our Patreon producers: Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, TGGLM 69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Rendell, and Cocktail Clay. Thank you so much for helping create what you are listening to in this moment. If you're on Patreon, you don't have to listen to an ad, but if you are not, you will. So here's a quick ad break. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So one of the other big themes randomly of this showcase was a developer / publisher called Mundfish, who made a game called Atomic Heart that came out a couple years ago. They were publishing some game that we're going to talk about later that I forget which one it was, but they also have Atomic Heart 2 that they announced, so a sequel, and then another game that they're kind of early teasing here called The Cube, which I was all in on The Cube. I thought this is a cool idea. You have like a kind of weird fantasy sci-fi type world that's set on this massive cube, and like imagine different colors of a Rubik's Cube being different biomes, and this gigantic cube is like shifting around and these biomes are moving. I'm like, damn, if that's just like an open world or whatever that you get to explore and move around and you can, move these biomes to like find secrets and things, like that is an amazing concept. I love that. But then it turns out it's an MMO. So I just like Dune Awakening will probably not be playing it at all. I don't know. I really love that concept though. So maybe if it's cool and it like has a good single player experience, maybe it's one I'd jump into. But yeah, I thought it was a really novel idea. One of the most interesting things in the showcase for me. But yeah, any thoughts on this this game or Atomic Heart from you guys?
No, it was just funny. Well, no, I've not heard much of this. Good, then they're only making two, so it sounds like the first one's success. They're not only they're making a sequel, they're making a game that's set in that world too. So that makes
Yes.
like shows you they're
Yep.
happy with whatever's going on there. So that's cool. It was sad to see you excited, and then that comes out, which I feel like we'll talk about it later because Mike has a comment about that. I feel like MMO or VR are just the two biggest like nosedives that happen in any gaming conference when you see a game, and it's always like the last thing they reveal and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not playing that. My third for me is like, yeah, just PC exclusive. I'm like, oh, I can't do it, damn it. But the MMO style, it's interesting because I don't know much about the Atomic Heart, the story or whatnot, but the way they're showing this thing off, the cube, I was like, if this is somewhat successful, I could see in the next 5 years someone make a movie off of this with that, like what you were describing with that type of world. Like that's just a good gimmick. And I know there is a movie called The Cube, but just the idea, like what they're talking about, and you can even in the movie said like, oh, something very important is in one section we got to get to. Like it just looked cool. But like you said, I just have no time, and I'm sure lots of great MMOs out there. It's just I don't have time to invest in that, and plus. For every great one, there's probably 5 not so great ones, right? And that's the problem. You don't want to pick one of those not so great ones. That's how you get burnt. You pick the not so great one, you put a lot of time and effort into it, and they're like, what did I do? I don't even play that game anymore. I didn't even have that fulfilling of experience. So, but the pitch was cool. It had me, and it was lost. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool looking trailer, but yeah, not gonna go down that avenue. I feel like I got really hyped on the first Destiny game release, and I got that game, and I was like, just really digging it, and then just the repetition of what like the grind is and doing dungeons, just killed it for me. And this was reminding me of that because it looked really cool, and it maybe it has really cool single player experience, but I can definitely foresee a lot of dungeon repetition raids, which there's audiences for that. Destiny, super long lasting game, and lots of fans out there for it, but definitely not for me.
Yeah. Well, something that's potentially for Travis is a game called Felt That Boxing, I believe is the title of this. Of course, Jeff Keighley loves his Muppets and puppets and anything in between.
no Muppets
did this
here,
one?
though.
weren't they puppet kind of creatures? Like they were in like
No, there's
Unreal
no, I
Engine,
said-
but like
But I said no, Muppets still, and there's a difference between puppets and Muppets.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
whole
Yeah.
different. It's like
Yeah.
my mom being like, "When's Batman gonna join the Avengers?" It's like, no, mom, that's not how it goes.
No.
This looked lots of fun. This one though, I think I didn't have to worry about though because I think it was just a PC one, right?
you don't have to worry about it. Is a way
well,
to word that.
I mean, in the sense of there's a lot of great games, but these games are always the toughest, right? When you see something that looks very interesting, but you know it could also be like a dog shit game or just not live up to the hype, and that's where it puts you in the difficult spot of, there's reviews and stuff, so that does help. But it's like, man, what do you do? This is one that I'll wait to see. Thought it was very funny, but I'd have to get a price tag on this one to see what it would be like. I would love to try it. Don't get me wrong. I feel like it'd be a fun Trask game. Yeah, I love Puppets and Muppets. I'm right now signed up to like a list to get a life-size vintage like Slappy doll from Goosebumps. Like it's gonna be like a R.L. Stein replica. So like I'm all into that stuff. I would just need to hear word of mouth and also, like I said, price tag for me. But looked very fun. I laughed a couple times.
I did laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, like at one point when he's plunged in the toilet and that one pup's like, I just shit in there. Like, I don't know. They got me. So I'm a sucker for puppets. So I have a script one day I'd love to make with puppets, but I need to get a lot of money before
You can
that,
use
'cause I
the
don't-
Slappy doll for that.
No, I'd have to make my own. But Dylan, making your own puppets, a lot of money. I think I got a good concept. I don't want to say it on air. Yeah, to get custom made puppets, everything, it's a lot of money. It's
What about
it's
a
ton.
sock puppet? That's pretty low investment.
Yeah, you're right, but I need a little bit more than that. Also, the other one that costs a lot are like Barney mascot suits. Damn, they cost a lot. So
Yeah, crazy. Okay, I will.
Dylan hates puppets. He's like, oh, yeah, crazy.
Hey, I
I'm
like
with
this
them.
trailer.
I
I thought it
like
was
puppets.
funny, made me laugh. Okay, we can move along to a game called Killer Inn, which is a weird looking game, multiplayer game. It looks like streamer bait kind of thing, which not necessarily games I'm gonna play, but once again I think it has a cool concept here where it's like a murder mystery game where everyone's locked in this one mansion together. And I guess, someone's mafia, someone's the evil guy, someone's the killer, and you kind of have to suss out who is. But everyone has like weird, different, very stylized characters. Like I guess you can probably just create your avatar and get really goofy with it. So I like this concept. I think it's fun. I like the idea of exploring a house together, trying to deduce clues and whatnot. It just seems like interactive mafia or interactive Avalon, that kind of thing, in a different way. So I'm into this concept, but not sure if I'm actually gonna play it.
Yeah, I wish these were like a nice, easy, free to play game. Unless it is free to play, but I don't know if it
Who
is.
knows?
Stuff that'd be like a fun after 9 night or something like that. But
Yeah.
fun concept.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which is the kind of 2D beat 'em up game from the Shredder's Revenge team, announced 2 new characters. She-Hulk and Rocket are joining the lineup, which I love. I think this game has a weird lineup already, and these are slightly 2 more off-the-wall characters you could pick and put in there. So I think it's quite fun. She-Hulk's design too, like she's mega buff, which I'm loving that art style they went for there. And Rocket seems like specifically goofy, and I feel like so many characters recently have like Rocket and Groot as like one tied character, like Marvel Rivals. I think it's just like one playable character. I think it's the same in Ultimate Alliance 3. Nothing wrong with that, but I think it's cool to give them their own, to have just a game that only has Rocket and no Groot as well. I think it's like a fun like mix up on it too. So I'm excited for this game. Still very excited for it. I think Jeff said there's 12 or 13 characters overall. 7 were announced in these 2, so I guess we still have a few more to go. So exciting. I'm gonna buy this game day one. I loved Shredder's Revenge, and looking forward to this. Next up.
I will at some point. We're still gonna go through Turtles. So I feel like I usually just have bandwidth for like one of those at the time. Like I don't spend too much time on like, oh, I got a bunch of them. It's a very fun genre. I love the colors, love the sound effect. Like it looks like it's a perfect iteration of that. I just, like I said, got me and the girls still got to go back to the Turtles one, and then I'll probably circle back to that. And plus, I had a good fill of you and me finishing Punisher on the Extra Life stream. So I got a good fill there of.
That was
Remember
something else.
Bonebreaker was in that.
In the
What a hype moment, yeah.
in the final minutes of the stream, just breaking some bones.
I did find out finally the game that I played, the RTS game that I put thousands of hours in back in the PlayStation, was Commander and Conquer Red Alert. That was
You mean
what
Command
I.
and Conquer?
Is it Command and Conquer? Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Command and Conquer
Great
Red
series.
Alert. Took a time
Red
for me to
Alert.
find, but do they
Red
still
and Blue
make
Alert,
those?
apparently, according to you.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
still-
There was a remake recently, or a remaster, I think.
Oh.
I don't think it was very good, but
Oh.
yeah. I mean, definitely a franchise I want to see have a reemergence, like the Phoenix, rising from the ashes. I want that.
I'll have to look into this.
The Red
Like how
Phoenix
Age of Mythology
Horizon
did with
from
the
Alert.
Retold,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We got 2 Lego games shown off today. Lego Voyagers, which is like
Oh,
a 2-player co-op sort of exploration puzzler game where instead of playing as IP characters, you're playing as just little Lego blocks and you're building weird, goofy things and kind of solving puzzles. And then Lego Party, which is, as Bub said in the live chat, it's Lego Mario Party, which is funny that I feel like I'm shocked if they haven't done this before, something like this. I don't know if they've only ever really done like those TT Games style Lego things and then a couple other spin-offs, but this seems like a no-brainer as well. But yeah, Kirkland, you were stricken by Voyagers.
Yeah, I mean, both these titles sound like a really fun time, but Voyagers in particular. I mean, I'm always looking for a fun couch co-op game to play with Shay there, and since we've beaten Split Fiction, we've been looking for the next one. So I don't know, this looks pretty cool, and I don't know, just this Lego building aspect to it looks really fun because I feel like all the Lego games I've played are like those classic Lego games, whether it's Lego Star Wars, Indiana Jones, things like that, which are great, but it's fun to see like a different type of Lego building game because you can really just get super creative. Shouts out to do you ever play the Lego like racer game where you would build your own car like way back in the day? I think it came in like a cereal box, honestly. I think that's where I
that's
got
sweet.
it, but
I never did.
yeah, great Lego game back in the day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, these both look fun. I'm kind of surprised. Like, I'm with you with the party one, but also just like, even though it is because the IP, those Lego games are tons of fun, and lots of them are great. And it's one of these things. It's not the IP or the the characters from Star Wars or Marvel, Indiana Jones, whatever may help, but it's kind of the core of the game that makes it so fun. So I feel like this is something if they haven't done before, they should be doing more of it. I guess I understand because of sales and whatnot. You go for that easy punch, right? Of we just got the Star Wars again, let's do that. But I think investing in your own product is a good thing. And the one that looks like Mario Party, I'm very curious because I would love. We always talk about, it's funny, like Mario Kart, we just talk about that with Sonic, we talk about like Smash, if there'd be like a competitor. I would love to have another Mario Party-esque type of game. There's aspects of WarioWare that are kind of like that, but that's still in that Nintendo realm, and I just feel like most party games are, when you get them, man, they're pretty bare bone, and they feel like, they don't feel good. Like, it's harder to capture that fun, so if they could do something in the Lego version of that'd be great. So I'll keep my eyes on both these because I think these are games that kids could like, but I think I need to, this is definitely a wait and see, but I hope they do great jobs with them. So
Yeah. Fractured Bloom was a game that really stood out to me. Has a weird mishmash of vibes. I don't know how to describe this one exactly, but like like a very, hyper realistic graphics. You're walking around a house, you're planting a little garden, your little tomatoes, you're watering your gardens, you're harvesting your tomatoes, you're washing them in the sink. So just doing some like household chores and basic like farming sim stuff. But then at some point things get really freaky and there's like another dimension that's creaking through and it becomes more of like a horror creepy game. But then also your character is just like hyper anime themed and does not fit the aesthetic of the rest of the game at all. So really strange game, really bizarre, but it really stood out to me. I think this is a really interesting concept. I'm curious to see more of it. Like, I imagine this is just like a 3-4 hour long horror game, but I don't know. There could be some other angle to it as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's rare that I see like genre mashups that I don't think I've ever seen before, and this kind of came across like that in terms of its style and potentially gameplay as well. So I don't know. This one's definitely on the radar for me. It was one of the more exciting things that we saw here, even if it is a big question mark at this point in time still.
yeah, I don't think it's on my radar, but it's it definitely looked odd, which is a good thing. I'm not saying that in a bad way. So
Good odd. Good odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that trailer. I'll have to watch it afterwards.
Fractured Bloom. Did you catch the Mafia, the Old Country, Kirkland? We recently talked about Mafia a little bit. What do you think of the fresh new trailer we got here?
Yeah, no, I did. I was. It's funny. This is one that I feel like I've been waiting to get more coverage for it because I've just seen like the one trailer. So it was nice to see a little bit more characters and just some action in there. So yeah, I don't know. It looks really good. I don't think there's any cons I have for what was shown here. I'm pretty impressed overall. I thought it looks really good. So yeah.
Cool. Travis, you've also played some Mafia back in the day, right? Like, do you
Loved
have any,
Mafia 2. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have any
Yeah,
interest
Mafia 2.
in this game or this trailer? I feel like this trailer didn't show like a ton for me personally, but yeah, what do you think of this?
I do. This is just a sale game. I don't know why, because I love that second one. It is kind of like a GTA clone. I am excited about them going like the old Sicily and the old country. I think that's a smart way to differentiate themselves. I think it sucks that there's some lost aspect of the open worldness, but at the same time, that's probably smart for them just to focus on the story. I think I will play this one. I've still always wanted to go back and try 3. I know, and I played 1, but I don't have much memories of 1. 2, I just remember being
It's on
a game
Game
that
Pass, the remaster, if you want to go
okay,
back.
I might have to try that one
it out.
point because 2, I just remember spamming and playing. I feel like I played that game over and over. It was the perfect. It was a GTA clone, but because it had that old aesthetic, it just felt just a little bit. Obviously, was different, but it was different enough that I could play GTA and I could play Mafia 2 and never feel like they were the same game, even though a lot of the controls and basics are similar. But I think this one, as long as it reviews well, I will play, because I think I remember like 2015 E3 when they revealed Mafia 3. I think me and Kirklin were all like, oh yeah, we're going to be getting, it was either 2015 or 16. I think we were all like that. And then when the game came out, I think everyone said like, oh yeah, it was kind of fine. So it's kind of the same thing here, where if it comes out and it gets good reviews, I think because the nostalgia in me, I'll definitely jump back in. I love Mafia and Mobsters and Godfather. I just watched this past year. It's come back in the theaters, might catch it there. But it's the same thing if it's like kind of a, middling, oh, it's fine, or it's all right. There's just so many games that it goes to the bottom of the list. That's the thing. So for me, this is kind of like some other games in this ones where there's not any insta-buys or uber nostalgia that's going to override it. This is, I need to hear some words on it, but looks good, and I'm excited to see the how it all goes out. That's out in August though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a tough thing because it's the same thing of like there's Ghost out and Donkey Kong still out, so something has to go to the bottom. And but who knows? Maybe it's rocking like a 93 or a 94. People
Maybe.
like this is one
That'd
of the
be
greatest
crazy.
Mafia stories ever. Then you never know.
I think, Kirkland, I think you have it on your draft, maybe?
I think I took it. I think I
Yeah.
have faith in it. Yeah.
So I'm sure
Well,
you're
then I
hoping
hope
for
it
a
fucking
high
tanks.
night.
I hope it eats it. Yeah.
Game I wish Taylor was here for, Jurassic World Evolution 3. So obviously the latest game in the park building series. I have played, I think, a bit of both of the games because they've been on Game Pass at different times. I couldn't tell you what's different in this one. Taylor in the Discord was talking about there's like baby dinosaurs, so I guess maybe more like breeding going on here, making some freaky hybrids and stuff. And to me, also just like it seemed like you can get more vertical with the parks and just obviously just little bells and whistles of making your parks that much more aesthetically pleasing and varied and whatnot. But yeah, I kind of didn't really expect a third one of these. But yeah, between this and Jurassic Park Survival, yeah, kind of pumping out some Jurassic content alongside these movies, which makes sense. Those movies are making a lot of money, right? So get some games in that ballpark as well. So yeah, that's that one. A game that I've been just patiently waiting for and a release date for is Mina the Hollower, because it was supposed to come out last year and then just like I don't think ever officially got delayed. It just like didn't come out, and now we're like halfway through 2025. So this is from the Shovel Knight developers, and this is more their top-down Zelda-inspired thing rather than like the 2D platformer thing that Shovel Knight was. And it looks great. It's very old school in its aesthetic, but I'm sure has a lot of like modern sensibilities to it. I think it looks fantastic. It's coming out at the end of October, so it's gonna be a day one for me. I'm not even a huge Shovel Knight fan, to be honest, but I love the aesthetic of this, and I like those kind of Zelda games in theory, but I think they need a little bit of a modern touch to them, and I feel like that's exactly what this is going to be. So excited to pick that one up for myself. Deadpool VR was the next one. Did it have a name? Was there a subtitle on this?
I thought it was just Deadpool VR.
Just Deadpool? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like a cell shaded, first person, obviously, VR game where you play as Deadpool. You go around, you do Deadpool things. Of course, they made like kind of a meta bit out of this where like, a guy like gave a letter to Jeff and Jeff started reading this letter and then it like took over the show and then it was like, oh, it's Deadpool. I've stolen the show. Like this whole thing. It was fine. And then, we all found out it's VR and we all said, nah, no thanks. We'll We'll see you next time.
It's funny when you were watching reaction, they quickly, I'm not sure because you're talking about your feed, like having some choppiness, they did flash the MetaQuest right before the trailer started.
yeah.
So that's why in the chat we're like, oh, it's VR. And you're like, oh, is it? That's why they quickly showed a MetaQuest logo. And that's why I was like, oh, no, it's over for us. And yeah, it looks fun. Again, it's interesting because I remember when VR started, I was like, oh, I can't wait. And I've only tried it once and, liked it enough. I just feel like it's still not at the place. It has not hit that peak level yet where I think it's like a must play, or there's experiences that are must play or must own. And again, this is kind of like, it looks all right. I'm not gonna say it doesn't look cheap. It just, something's off about it. I don't know. And it's not just the shading. It just feels a little lesser than. They got Neil Patrick Harris doing the voice, so good for them.
Oh.
Hopefully it's a fun. Yeah,
Weird.
hopefully it's a
Okay.
fun
I didn't
game.
catch that.
But yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But I'll probably never play this game. So
Fair enough.
Me too, probably.
yeah.
This is probably just a quick shout out, but there was a weird part of the show where there was this game. I think it was the first Descendant, which just had like just body parts with like big boobs and butts. Everyone was like, okay,
Oh yeah.
this is where we're at.
GV
And then
big. Yeah.
yeah, GV big. And then we went to a trailer. Maybe the order was different here. This game called Scum, which had like people sitting on a sign like shitting. There's a lot of nudity and like weird stuff going on. And it was like, what is this freaky hour we've gotten to in like the Summer Game Fest? Like, I don't know. It seemed like intentional to bundle these two very R-rated things next to each other, but it was a very odd vibe for both those games.
Yeah, it was. That's when I was like, man, we really need some big stuff at the end of this show. But yeah, there was lots of butts and cleavage going on that one. I'm pretty sure it was back to back, and there was that. I'm not sure if you have it in there, but there was that. I know it was the. Do you have the trailer with the people with the gold blood, or did you skip that one?
Trailer with the gold blood.
It was like another type of like Souls type of game or whatnot.
I might
She
have
bled
taken it out.
gold. Okay, that's fine. There was a section where she got like cut, hence my name, and there was just like a splooge that went on a painting, and it just looked like
Oh,
the
yeah, I
ending of
remember
a
that, yeah.
porno shot, and it was very. I was very confused with what was going on, and it was a serious trailer, but it was just like, and it's just gold, and it was
Yeah.
dripping. So yeah, it was got a couple X-rated moments this conference.
Yeah. Kirkland, did you see the trailer for Acts of Blood?
Acts of Blood, no.
And
This
is that a
is
real
Sifu.
game?
It's the Sifu looking thing, kind of street combat, really, martial artsy.
oh, it totally looks
um,
Sifu-y.
Sifui.
Yeah. Sifu.
Yeah, this just. Yeah, I don't know if you're watching the trailer now, but that definitely, obviously, you're a big Sifu fan, so this seems like your cup of tea. Is that Code Vein 2? Yeah, that was
That's
one
the
that
gold money shot. Yeah.
I did not recognize as being Code Vein. Not that I've played the first game, but that was another anime trailer for sure.
No, this looks really cool. Yeah.
I think they said there was like a solo developer for that one, which is crazy, but
That's really impressive.
Okay, and next up, do you like Scott Pilgrim? You guys into this guy, Mr. Scott?
Nope.
Okay.
It's funny because you said that on the stream. It was, I think, in your absence, we did a watch along with Hansi, because Sora Hansi, if you're listening, it's one of her favorite movies. Not a fan of me. For me, I like Michael Cera. Yeah, I'm not a fan of me either. I'm a fan of Michael Cera. Some of that character just grinds the wrong way. But it's a very cool movie, and I get why people like it. And I think it actually works for the aesthetic they're doing here. So I think I saw a lot of excitement for this. So probably a good pick.
Well, that game that came out, I don't know when it was, but it was beat 'em up like this. People love that game. So I think to kind of have a resurgence of that was a big deal for a lot of people. We got a couple IOI things in here, even though they had their own showcase, but they decided to, spray their golden money shot all over the other showcases here. But we got first Mind's Eye. Don't forget this game's coming out next week, and it's getting a crossover with Hitman, which I guess 47's in the game or something. We don't really know. They just kind of somewhat announced that. And then Le Chiffre. So Mads Mikkelsen's character from Casino Royale is coming to Hitman as an elusive target today. He's in there. I already downloaded it. I might go play that tonight. Well, I might go play Switch 2. Honestly, I might go play Hitman instead of Switch 2. That's my vibe tonight. Just how much I love this game. But yeah, they're taking. Funny enough, this is what I was saying. So the first map for the original Hitman of this new trilogy Paris was the first map introduced there, and that this is an elusive target for that map. So this looks like they've redecorated a couple rooms, thrown some poker tables in there. On the IOI showcase, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, they showed a bit of like this poker mini game going on, which they talked about here as well. So yeah, he's in there. You can play it now. It is a limited time thing, so play it this month. It'll probably come back at some point. These things always do, or you can like either play them in the arcade maybe, but then you don't like get points, or I don't know how that stuff works. It's so, even though I've played this game for hundreds of hours, I still don't know how all these elusive targets and whatnot work. But I am very excited to jump in and check this out. That's a very fun crossover. And yeah, like I said, this was like the most hyped thing at the showcase for me, which I don't know, I guess that's just telling you how much a Hitman fan I am. Maybe it would have been nice to have a couple things that clips this DLC for an old game, but I was hoping for a new map or something, but I'll take Mads Mikkelsen as a elusive target. That's pretty sweet. So I'm guessing you guys are going to give this game a re-download or an update and go in here and check this out.
I got to get the ball whipping rope in there.
I can't wait. Yeah, that's especially when Matt's like, this character is much more vicious than the last time we saw him. It's like last time we saw him, he was trying to take off James Bond's derriere and balls. Like, that was pretty vicious in my opinion. Yeah, I'll definitely play. It's still download because I feel like this is, I can't remember when I re-download. It must have been, I think it was right before I went on my pat leave. Like I was having fun replaying Hitman. I love that franchise. I've not played World Assassination as much as Dylan, but the OG games like 1 to 3 and Blood Money and even fucking Absolution were all my jam.
Yeah.
So yeah, which was because I know a lot of people are divisive on that one because that's when it got more story mode and you're not even a hitman anymore. You're going like it's Agent 47 doing a story. Yeah, I agree with you. It's good. It was just I think people are like it's not contracts and it's not what I want. But no, I will. Hopefully, my goal is to try and play at least a run through before Monday because I'm gonna get La Chiffre out there. But thought this was very cool. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like this is a DLC for a 9-year-old game and a movie that came out in 06. Like it does feel like all over. It feels very old, but it's like man, it's great video game stuff. So yeah, and Hitman is fantastic. So yeah, I still got Hitman downloaded because I had played it recently before I started my new list. So yeah, I'm excited to go catch Mads Mikkelsen. I might just let him kill me. It's tough. Can I pull the trigger on Mads Mikkelsen? I'll do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like usually the targets don't attack you in Hitman, right? It's normally like guards that are attacking you. So I don't know if Mads will actually, ball whip you or if he'll.
He said he was more vicious this time, though. So I don't know, right? Maybe
that would be a new mechanic. I can't think of like many other maps that have a target that will straight up attack you. Usually that's like their guards that are doing that. So we'll see.
Goes to an unskippable cutscene. That's him just whipping you.
Yeah. Tell me 47.
Forces you to play it in VR, so you have to like really feel that.
Yeah. Why is
Put the DualSense down there, and you can feel the whipping.
Why do I gotta buy an additional $100 nutbag holder?
More vicious this time. I hurt the viewer. No, this is awesome. I still have Hitman downloaded, so this is good reason to get back in there. This is really exciting.
I hope this motivates you to, because I think Japan was your next one after, so. Quietly hoping that this, pushes you to go to that one as well.
In stages. Yeah. I'm a little small biter when it comes to video gaming.
Small biter. Okay. While we're here, let's just talk about the IOI showcase because so this thing started at 6 p.m. When I was checking my notes and stuff, it was still going on at like past 8 p.m. So, I think after a bit they weren't showing things anymore. It was just like
you're just
watching camera
Bond movies.
There was a camera on the show floor of people playing it, and Hitman's like, it's not a big explosive game that like I feel like plays well on the show floor. So everyone was just like, really, they looked bored out of their mind. I'm sure maybe they were thrilled, but it's not like one of those big hype games. Yeah.
Remember the end of Extra Life when Kirklin's run there? You got to get him on the floor there. He'll make it.
Yeah, give them a strict time limit. You have 5 minutes to take out the sheet to see what they can get up to.
He's a pray and spray type of player.
But so for this showcase, I didn't watch the Mind's Eye stuff. We've seen a lot of that game. As far as I could tell, they showed the same 007 trailer again and just said gameplay's coming later this summer. So nothing new there. Really wild idea. If I missed that, anyone in the chat, please let me know. But I don't think there was anything new. I watched through that section twice. And then for Hitman, they re-established the Schiffer thing again, and then they showed like a full playthrough of it. Like, I think it was like 30 minutes long or something of just like someone playing through the whole elusive target. But then the two other kind of announcements, I was hoping for a map. We didn't get a new map because obviously they were really pimping out the Mads Mikkelsen stuff. But the two new things, I guess a few things. It's coming to iOS. I don't know if that's new. It's also coming to VR. It was already on VR. I don't know if this is like a new update there. Anyway, if you're into that kind of stuff. They announced a Hitman board game they are making. They're launching the Kickstarter for that later this year. I'm going to buy it. It's the maps. It's the characters from the Worlds of Assassination. I don't know how it's going to work, but I desperately want to do... I mean, they're like an indie developer at this point, right? So I guess they need to get some fun somehow. But I'm gonna buy that, and we will do a stream of it someday. Is my dream on a 24-hour stream on GV Day or something. Whenever it comes out, that'll be a lot of fun. And then the thing that they showed very briefly, but we didn't get much info on, is that they are adding co-op to World of Assassination.
That's
and
crazy.
the footage they showed was two you weren't 47. You're not playing as like clones or something. It's two like basic looking avatar type people. So I don't know if you like make a character, maybe you can do some basic customization of your character. You probably are unlocking like skins and stuff. But yeah, I think that's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to play co-op with both of you guys. 2-player co-op, so we'll have to take turns. But I cannot wait to do that with you guys. I think that's going to be super fun. We could probably make some fun challenge runs of it, like competitive or cooperative, just like going against each other. Who can take out the target first? I feel like there's
versus spy.
I've already put hundreds of hours into this game, but I feel like this is potential for like hundreds and hundreds of more hours. I can't wait for that. We didn't really get any more info than that in here, but I'm super duper excited for Hitman co-op.
Yeah, it's really surprising.
Gasoline.
That's what I thought when I saw the co-op. I was like, man, that I think has just fun times abound. I cannot wait to see. I hope it works. I hope it's not something that like 2 years from now it's like, we talked about this and it's finally here. Like I hope it's. I'm not saying like right away, but whenever that launches, I'll definitely be ready to dip my 47 toes. Like you said, even if we're not 47, I'm just that's so it's so odd when we're talking about these games. These are games that have been around since I was like in middle school or elementary school, and now it's like doing something with it that's never been done before, because you just kind of think of Hitman in this box, right? And then even World of Assassination, that did change it, but still at its core it is there's a target, you're Agent 47, you're going to get them, right? This is something that's completely different. I never would have looked at Hitman and be like, oh, one day I'll be able to do co-op with this. So I'm very curious to see how it goes down, but I will be there whenever we do it. So
Yeah, no, well said.
Yeah, I suppose I was saying that I think they said it was only for certain maps. So we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe they roll it out in waves or something, because maybe it's really complicated on the back end or something.
Yeah.
But I got to rewatch the trailer or the little footage they showed, because it was like two characters like dragging a body through a warehouse. So off the top of my head, I can't tell you what map that was that we actually saw that on. But yeah, if it was only certain maps, that would be a huge letdown. But like, I don't know, even one of those maps still offers like, tens of hours of replay value. So yeah, that's fine. But hopefully they roll it out.
I think it's a good start too, to be like, I almost, it can't be like, what is it, like, Ghost of the, I forgot the name
Legends?
of that game.
Tsushima Legends?
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. Like, we are very lucky we got that, and I don't know if I would expect them like every mission to have that. Like, I feel like it's a good thing to just dabble with, because same thing, they can make it as good as they want, but what if people just don't respond to it, right? What if they go, this isn't that fun? So I'm kind of, I give them some leeway of like, yeah, a couple, even if it's one or two, sure, let's do that. Let's see, like you said, there's many ways to replay it and go from there, and then they can have that same hype of, if it's success, hey, in 6 months we've added this one. You can always get those constant updates for it. So I'm fine for them just to tinker with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think also just like, I kind of thought they were rolling, starting to wind down on support of this game. With it seemed like maybe we're not going to get any new maps. We're just going to get like these elusive targets. They got the Jean-Claude Van Damme one a few months ago, and then this Mads thing, and like those are pretty good. Like they totally revamp sections of the map, so it offers a lot of replayability. It's like, you get like a quarter of a new map, kind of, in a way. So it's still fun, but I thought they were winding down, but like this seems like a huge undertaking. And yeah, I don't know, makes me hopeful that maybe we will get new maps in the future, and they're just going to support this game like forever, because I'm sure it just keeps selling, and every time they do these elusive targets, like they have additional DLC people can buy, so they nickel and dime for cosmetics and even just like OP equipment like all over the place in Hitman. You don't really need any of that stuff. There's just so much in there already if you just buy the game itself. But yeah, it's cool to see that this game is still getting new content.
Two things, I guess, because you brought up, forgot to mention it overall. With the IO stuff, that's another thing that screamed very E3-ish when we started. There were so many times where people would be on different panels, like, oh, and then come see our own shown later, and be more like the Ubisoft or even like Square would do one, and it's like, well, we saw this over there and this over there, and that was what it reminded me of E3 of old, where same thing. It's like, to me, if you didn't have much more to show, you should have never showed that Bond thing, to get people to tune in. And it's weird. And I was curious because he said that one of the devs up there, when they're interviewing or introducing the Hitman thing, he's like, oh, Bond is just around the corner, but we have something today that we can give you, which was weird because then Jeff later on was like, when can we play this? And they're like, today. Like, it was, they asked him for it twice, but I don't know if he was just being cheeky or if it was almost like, at first I thought, oh, is he insinuating we're going to get this maybe like early next year? And that's why I thought, okay, even if they don't have much to show, if you on IO, presentation can be like, hey, here's the date. And I also thought they would just confirm that it's Patrick Gibson. It feels very weird that that's not even been said at all, like a press release or anything. Like, even that's an easy walk up of like, we hated that stuff back in the day, but just like, have Patrick Gibson on a stage for like 5 minutes and talk about why he loves Bond. I don't know. So it was very odd to have it at State of Play and then here, and then because I was at a school event with the kids, for you to report back there wasn't really anything on Bond, and I've looked, I haven't seen anything. That's just very odd maneuver.
Yeah.
So
my thought there is that like maybe because it was the first time of them doing this showcase, maybe they were just nervous that no one would know what's happening, and like all these announcements would not get out there. But I just feel like with where we're at with like Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that, it's like people will see this stuff. Like, even if it's not at SGF, people are still going to see, oh, 007 got a new trailer, and that's going to be talked about in a big way. And like, a 007 trailer today would have been like one of the biggest announcements of the day. So even if they weren't at SGF, like people still would have seen that. It would have got circulated. So it did seem weird. Maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that like it was their first showcase, but also like, as much of a big fan I am of IO, I don't need them to ever do this again. Like, I'm totally fine if you just insert your trailers into these other showcases, and then just like with their with their Hitman stuff, like they just drop a YouTube video of like, here's the new elusive target coming out, and that's always a perfect way for me to just digest that info. So it's really long too, and like the showcase, it's funny, like we rag on Jeff sometimes for like the minor things that go wrong in his showcases, whether it's like a teleprompter thing or someone going up on stage or something weird. But it's like, for the most part, I think we don't give enough credit for like how fucking amazing his showcases are in terms of the visuals of it, like the imagery, the branding. Like he's got it down to a science. And when you go to this showcase, it was in a freaking dimly lit room. People were coming up and off the stage repeatedly. Like the CEO would come up on stage, talk for a minute. He'd walk off the stairs, and then she'd be like, and then the CEO is here to tell you about this thing. And he'd walk back up. Like literally 5 seconds later, after he just walks off stage, he'd come back up and like say a different thing. People were like missing their cues. The host lady was like never really seemed to like. It seemed like they maybe rehearsed it like once or something. So it was not a great showcase. And like I said, it was still going on at like 8 p.m. So there's like, I don't know what the heck they were showing for all that length of time, but it was weird. And yeah, I think maybe they got it out of their system. We'll see. It just seems like that was probably pretty expensive to put that together, and I just don't know if that's worth it. Like, just put that money into like making a badass trailer, put it at SGF, put it at State of Play, and you're gonna get eyes on your stuff. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they do. IO does make some weird decisions sometimes. Like, they are a weird developer, but damn, they make great games. So that's why we're still hyped for them. Zooming back to SGF now. Actually, how about we take our last ad break and then we just have a few more announcements. So yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Another weird horror thing that stood out to me was a game called Ill. Ill, very weird looking game, really creepy, demented babies that look like the regurgitator things or generators. I mean, from Resident Evil 4. A lot of physics objects. Like at one point, these creepy babies was running up to the character, and they kicked it into like just a pile of barrels, and everything like tumbled over, and it was like almost like slapstick, even though it's like a horror. There was one shot that like zoomed out, and it was like the house that you're in is just like a house inside of a giant warehouse. So it's kind of like Outlast Trials or something weird like that. I thought this game looked really creepy. The music was really terrifying as well. Visually, like beautiful graphics, beautiful ugly, of course. So I don't know. This is another horror game that's definitely on the radar. I think it almost looks too scary. I think there's a limit for me, like Biohazard, Resident Evil 7. That's too scary for me. Like I like Resident Evil, but that's too scary for me. I need a little bit less scary. And this game might be inching on that too scary, but it looks cool. Might check that one out for myself.
Too scary.
Too scary for Kirkland.
Too scary for me.
Fair enough.
I hope this game is good. I will play this game if it's good. I loved how creative it was.
Okay.
I loved how disgusting it was. Like I said in the live stream, not enough cocks. There's a lot of naked guys around, but they have no genitalia.
Okay.
That's not growing back, release the cock. But yeah, when they just had that end part, I think when they had the end part when they were like the whatever monstrous babies and it was just kicking them, like, okay, I think this is a game that can be very creepy and very fucked up, but have those moments of levity where it's like, okay, you're kicking like deranged demon babies. This is kind of weird, but a little tongue-in-cheek funny. So yeah, I need to wait because I could see that game like just being like many others, getting a couple 6s or 7s and it's fine. But if you can make a scary, messed up game and you got to play in first person, that's a good time. So this is one that this is definitely on the radar, and I just love the title "Ill." Just like I don't know, we talk about it. There's so many movies and video games now that there's been so many titles. Like we've talked a lot today. What was the Tom Hardy one again?
Oh fuck!
Champion,
Right?
Chronicles,
yeah.
Chronicles, medieval. Chronicles medieval.
There's so many games that have forgettable titles because they're generic or they just feel like placeholders. Something like Ill, I'm gonna remember Ill. Like if Dylan says Ill, I'm like, okay, maybe test me in a couple months, but Ill, like it looks like it has enough Travis-isms. So and I really liked what you mentioned with Biohazard, and we'll talk about later. I think that franchise is getting away from that, so this might kind of fill that void because we'll wait till we get there. But I love a good first-person horror game. So,
yeah. And then there's a game called another title, Infinitesimals. I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
It's
terrible title.
Infinitesimal tokens.
Terrible.
Infinitesimal.
Terrible.
Infinitesimals. I think I'm saying it right, but I could be wrong.
They're giving money to people that give this stuff. If I was an exec,
I had to practice saying that 20 times before we went live. I was like just reading it a few times over, like trying to figure out how to enunciate this bad boy.
No one's gonna remember that title. I was with you. It looked interesting, and then they made me uninterested in it because it was like, oh, cool bugs, but then it just got. I don't know. It felt like cool concept, but then it got very generic with like mechy and tech and like just didn't go the direction I liked. So maybe if you end up playing and really like it, maybe it's something I'd like to see you play or like on a live stream. But it kind of unsold me, which is never good for a trailer. But that's what happened.
Yeah, it pretty much looked like Grounded, but with a little more mech combat, a little more, I guess, shrinking people is inherently a sci-fi thing, but definitely deeper into sci-fi, a lot more tech and things rather than like sticks and bugs and teeth that you're using in Grounded. I absolutely love Grounded, so inherently I was quite interested in this, but I also still have so much to do in Grounded that I think I would just, if I want that itch scratched, I would just go back to the backyard there because I love that game so much. But yeah, I mean, I just love this theming for a game. Being a little guy in a world is always fun for me, as I talk about many times on Sidequest. So yeah, this game seems interesting. I think if it gets like really good reviews, then I might check it out because, yeah, I love Grounded, and it seems, I don't know if we'll get a sequel to Grounded, and this feels like kind of a sequel to that game in a way. Travis, a certain wrestler popped up on the stream here. Do you want to talk about that?
Started. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I like it's great.
Sorry.
Kenny Omega was there, my favorite current wrestler, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Wrestling god, best belt machine, all that good stuff. I got very excited and nothing happened with it. They could have sold me maybe a copy of Street Fighter right there. I get it. Street Fighter is a very big game for him, so it was very cool and fun teaser for him to dress up as a character to announce the DLC. But I got mega hyped for nothing. So check out the gimmick this weekend. Money in the Bank.
Yeah, S-Bubs, if you're still in the chat, where's Kenny Omega on your ranking? Or Travis, do you know the answer for S-Bub?
I don't know. I've wanted to. And a quick aside, we've never done a top 10 current favorite because I feel like it's not like movies and games. I want it. I feel like in wrestling, you could do a top 10 all time and a top 10 current. Those lists are very different for me.
Right.
S-Bubs, he unfortunately had to have a lot of me and David being like, this guy's the fucking bee's knees. And luckily, the first match you ever watched with Kenny Omega, I'm pretty sure, S-Bubs, it was Gabe Kidd match, and you loved that one. And I think you understand the hype of Kenny Omega. So
Okay.
I don't want to say he's in his top 10, but
Is he known for like
could be.
changing his persona a lot? Because that's like what his trailer was. He was like dressing up as the different Street Fighter characters. I didn't know if that was like part of his gimmick.
No, he's just a known like Street Fighter fan, so I guess that's why they did it. But yeah, he's not like he
Okay.
changes outfits, but he's not known as like the man of 1,000 outfits or anything.
He doesn't
like
dress
that.
up as Ingrid in his
No,
usual.
he dressed up as a lot of Final Fantasy characters. Actually, like
Oh,
his
okay.
move, his finishing move is called the One Winged Angel. Like
Oh, shit,
all like
okay.
even his current theme song in wrestling was composed by I think the current composer of Final Fantasy games. They composed his theme.
That's fucking
like,
sweet.
If you were to
Okay.
watch a match or his entrances, and you hear the commentary, you'd be like, it's video games references all the time with Kenny Omega. So he's
Nice.
big into that stuff. So
Well, Street Fighter makes sense then as a crossover that we got here. So
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, he's not in the game or anything. I think they were just announcing characters, and he wanted to be in it because he likes video games. I guess so. That's good enough.
I didn't
reason.
want Fight Forever 2. I bought it, it was fine enough, but no, I'm okay with Fight Forever 1.
Okay. I don't know what that is, but I'll ask you about it another day. Next up, so every one of these showcases, you always got to have a presenter on stage who is just peak cringe. And so this
Oh,
time
brother.
we got a guy coming up to talk about a game called Splitgate, or this is Splitgate 2, I believe is what was going on here. But he had like a Harley Quinn like power, like a baseball bat thing, and he came up on stage and he was like, you know, back in the day, I used to love Halo, and now all we get is fucking Call of Duty every year. So we're looking to change that and bring back like first-person shooters. And he had Kirkland. Did you see this portion of the show?
No, I didn't.
Okay, he had a hat that said "Make FPS, make
Great again.
FPSs great again" or something like that. So he had like a mega hat
Type of vibe, yeah.
out here with his Call of Duty slander. And yeah, to me, like the purpose of this seemed to be like to try and get like a viral moment, because I'm thinking back to, I think it was Game Awards when, I forget his name, but the Kratos voice actor, you know, he got like, I forget if this was winning a speech, maybe it was another announcement he was in. It was something on a Jeff show, and he like shit on Call of Duty or something like that, and then people were talking about that a lot, and it was a big thing, and so it felt like he was trying to get his own viral moment here, but it was just like cringe, and I don't even know if it's cringe enough to like make it on Twitter and stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like this moment might be forgotten. I mean, we're talking about it now, so maybe that's all he wanted. But Splitgate is a cool concept, but I just don't want to play it now because I just hate this guy's vibe and energy, and I just don't want to like support the game because I just didn't like it. So really rubbed me the wrong way. But yeah, so that, you know, but you got to get your cringe out of the way. I guess it's a rite of passage for a Jeff show, I think.
Yeah, and it didn't really back it up to me either. Like I wasn't like blown away by this. I know I'm not the biggest shooter person, but I think I can still see a genre and be like, oh, this is something really great. But yeah, I to me that was like, it made the show feel lesser, and I feel like that's not what Jeff wants. Maybe he does, and if that's what he wants, then I feel like there's going to be a lot more Summer Games Fest in the future that are going to be lower rated by myself. But it felt very, E3 cringe back in the day, but to me, it just feels like Jeff and company are above this, especially if this was done like a somewhat funny way, but it felt it was awkward. It was not a good, and especially remember, this was in the last 10 minutes of the show. It's right before I pop. That's what made me really pop on, because I was finally had some time. Like, I got to rant about this fucking guy. But it was last 10 minutes of the show, and that's just like, this is who we're giving the time to. Like, you're in the finale, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, really bizarre behavior there. Yeah, I wonder if the way I picture it, giving Jeff the benefit of the doubt here, is that they were like, hey, we want to do this bit. We're going to give you, I don't know how much this stuff costs, $2 million. And he was like, that's the bit you want to do? Not happening. And then they just kept raising that price up until like he said, yes, you can do your stupid bit because, it's funding this whole showcase. So that's my headcanon for that one. A game that's similar in that it's like a multiplayer thing that was shown off here called Last Flag. that I thought actually looked really cool. It's, you know, a game that's kind of really honed in on like capture the flag as a mode and really making the game all about that, it seems like. It's kind of got a pretty cartoony style. The characters are very goofy and like, you know, flamboyant, to use a Taylor Field word there. Like the first character very much had like a Colt Vaughn energy to him, Kirkland, with like the little quips he was doing. And then there's this girl who has like a big shotgun, and whenever she shoots the shotgun, it just has so much recoil that she just like flies into the air a little bit and like pops her legs out and like does the splits and like comes back to the ground. So I just really like the animations. I liked the humor of it. I like the weird mix match of like character types. Like it just seems like, I don't know, it seems like they really nailed down a style. And I don't know, I like the concept. I've always loved Capture the Flag. I think it makes for a really interesting mode, but I feel like it's always a side mode in a game. So to take that and make that like the primary mode in the game, I'm just curious to see what other kind of mechanics. I'm sure characters have like abilities based around the flag. Like maybe a character can like make the flag explode and deal damage if someone's trying to capture it. Stuff like that. It seems like a cool concept. So depending on the price and whatnot of this, like I might want to check it out and jump in there. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I missed that one, but that sounds enticing. I'll check out the trailer.
Yeah. Are you guys into Wu-Tang? The Wu-Tang Clan?
Dabbled.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I could never say I like their music, but I feel like if you say you're a fan, people, what's your favorite album? It's like, no, like I like it enough. Like but I'm not. They're not in the rotation all the time. But I understand their importance in the history. And for a second, I thought this was going to be a new Def Jam fighting game, but it was not.
Man, yeah, me too.
I thought it was the way it was previewing. It just had like a similar vibe, aesthetic, and then looked to be something else. I was with you on the stream that I wish they showed a little bit more, but it did get a big pop in that room because you still can hear the audience, and the audience popped off for that game. So I think if it's even somewhat decent, you got a massive fan base with Wu-Tang, so I think you can like capitalize on that. And I don't know what sales wise, but I think people will show up and buy the game. So
yeah, Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver is the name of that. So it's weird, something different. We'll see what happens there. I couldn't name a single Wu-Tang song. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna claim I'm a fan though. That's the difference. We got some info about a game. I think we saw the Game Awards. So it's the next game from the like a Dragon team, I believe. Stranger Than Heaven is the name of this one. Kind of Yakuza sort of thing, but like the setting, I guess, would be like early 1900s Japan sort of setting.
It was 1943.
1943.
Which was weird because
much.
Jeff said something about like the first showing was in 1915, so I didn't know if you changed times in the game or if they had changed their mind. I don't know, but the date did say 1943 at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, I think this game looked really cool. I love the setting of it. It's super unique for a open worldy sort of game like this. I don't know. This studio it's absolutely spams games. It's like impossible to catch up, and I never know when to jump in. But like maybe this is the good way to do it. It's like, here's just such a weird, interesting game. It's kind of loosely tied in with the other ones. You don't need to play the other ones. Just play this. So I don't know. We'll see. I think this looks really, really fun.
That was a pure great vibes trailer. That had everything I wanted. It like felt like detective noir, which I liked. I love the soundtrack. I love it had a mix of bright colors but very docile like setting and very grim. But then I like the Yakuza series or Like a Dragon, whatever they call it now. Just crazy stuff was happening. There's that moment where you're chasing someone and then just like dozens of people are running by you and you're trying to get through them. So because I've been saying this thing the past year, like I even have one downloaded right now on my Xbox. Like I've been threatening to get into that series because I've just seen so much stuff that's like feels like some Travis vibes, but this one might have to because this one feels a little extra. The detective noir aspect really got me. So again, I'm sure it's gonna fucking come out on some date that's super busy, and then I'll have some excuse because there's so many great games out there. But this looked very interesting, so it's on my radar for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, look really cool, unique world setting. I think I'll just wait and see. Word of mouth might be a sale game.
The old sale game. Last thing on my list was Resident Evil. Did I skip any games that you guys wanted to talk about?
There was one game I didn't really. I don't know. It looked a little bit just funky and interesting. I think it was called Big Walk. It was with like the duck characters. Just looked really goofy and I don't know. Just yeah, just really goofy and fun in an interesting way. But
I think that's the one from the Untitled Goose Game people.
Oh,
that's the next game, I think.
That fits then.
Yeah,
that tracks.
Did that get a release date? Because that wasn't in Summer Game Fest. I think that was in Day of the Devs.
I didn't see a date on it. No, I didn't. No.
It's got to be coming out soon, I think. We'll see. Closing out then with Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9. So yeah, as Travis mentioned, like they kind of teased it a couple times. The first time, like Lady D's voice actress did a little bit, and she was like pretty much setting up like a Capcom sale that's happening right now. And then the I guess creative director or someone like that came up, and he was like, Resident Evil 9 exists, but you're gonna have to wait a blink longer. And then like an hour later, we got the actual trailer for it. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way they rolled this out, but it was the one more thing, and I think I was looking forward to seeing Resident Evil here because I'm a big fan of that series now, especially like since 8 I've gone on just a binge and played through a bunch of them, so I'm excited to jump into this one like day one and be there on day one with everyone else. So it's coming out February 26th. We got a release date for it, of course, next year. What do we know here? We kind of got like a extended cutscene setting up the story of it, where there's like this lady working with a detective, I suppose, police station sort of situation. There's these bodies that keep showing up, which will probably be the inciting event for your new protagonist character to go in and go investigate this, and that'll lead into the whole Resident Evil adventure of it. Her name is Grace. She's a new protagonist. I think put it in the Discord, daughter or something of some character that's relevant in the series, I think. We're going back to Raccoon City, but it's like years and years later. Like it looks
After
like it
the
was
bombing and everything.
Yeah, it looks like a Fallout game or something like that. So very different than the Raccoon City we've seen before. You see like a big crater, which I guess was like, I don't know, part of the... I don't know some of the lore. I haven't played like Resident Evil 0 or 1, so I feel like I'm missing some of the lore on the early stuff there. But yeah, that's kind of the premise of what's going on. We didn't really see any gameplay, but yeah, what'd you guys think of Resident Evil Requiem?
I thought it looked beautiful. Really impressive, just cinematics. I think they do such a great job at just like gripping you into the adventure without even showing gameplay. Like it just cinematic wise, it looks really impressive. But yeah, I'm very, very, very foggy on just kind of how the story goes. Like it's like, oh, Raccoon City Police Station. I know that landmark, like things like that. But I don't know. It's scary progression of the trailer, I guess. Like by the end, we're seeing the full hellscape with the just creepy monster thing, whatever it is. So yeah, it looked impressive, but definitely nothing that I'm gonna be racing to day one. I've just been so distant on my Resident Evil adventures. Even I didn't even make it through Biohazard. That one was a too scary on my radar.
Relatable.
Yeah, I'm somewhat excited. I still need to catch up because 8 was a similar situation where that came out at a time when I was not ready to get that game, and I will get it at some point. I was a big fan of the old series, and the same thing. I own the 3 and 4 remakes, and I haven't touched those, so I might sit and wait. And also because I said this in the predictions, right, where I was curious what they're gonna do with this series because we had confirmed like 8 had sold so well, and for me this sounds like they're going back to basics. I will say most of my timeline was all like, it better be third, it better be third. So I think there is a lot of people with nostalgia and people that have played the 3 and 4 remakes that want that type of feeling again. I guess for me it's because like I want to play those remakes, but I also grew up with those, so I don't have as much of a... I was liking what 7 and 8, which I haven't played, was doing a little bit differently, and to me that kind of revitalized the franchise, kind of because it kind of felt like 5 and 6 and some of these other spin-offs and the storyteller, the very mediocre movies, were kind of damaging that brand, and then 7 got some goodwill back and 8 capitalized on it. So with this, I think there's two routes where this is the best of both worlds, where maybe it's not first person, but it kind of combines some of the beats and the scarier aspects that brought it, like grounded it again in 7 and 8. And then you still have the big scope of the massive stories and other characters in Raccoon City. Or is it just like is it the 2026 version of the bigger scale of 3 and 4, but then also 5 and 6? Because like 3 and 4 are, I think most people are list one of those as their favorite, right? And I might be up there too, like 7's great, but it's one of these things of, it feels like we're going back a little bit, but maybe they're going back a little bit because they feel like they can refine and have that process again. So I'm going to be curious on reviews and everything. Don't know if I'm gonna buy this just because I feel like I already bought those 2 other ones I gotta play. I want to play 8, so I'm a little... So I guess I should stop saying I'm a big fan, because I feel like a big fan would be completely caught up. So I'll
hard
just
to
say
keep up at this point with like the
they do
remakes
a
and
lot.
stuff. Like they're just spamming spamming games.
And I have played those remakes like back in the day. Like I've spanned those
Yeah,
on
the OGs,
PS2.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a thing of like I really want to play them because they were fun, be fun to go back to there. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, no, she's Alyssa Ashcroft. She is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak, which I never played that. So
Right. Yeah, I've not played that either. I have no idea where that takes place in the timeline or when that came out. I feel like I haven't even
Yeah.
seen that one. I've wish
And that's
listed I
why
thought
there's a
all
lot
of
of
them on the store
those.
to like pick up all the games and play them at separate points, but I don't know much about that. So I'll have to do some digging on that or go play Outbreak or something. That could be a fun thing to do. But yeah, I don't know. We didn't get really gameplay here, so it's hard to get too much of a vibe. But I really like the setting. I think it's going to be fun. Even if I don't know all the details there, I still like by playing 2 and 3 got really familiar with Raccoon City, and I'm sure it'll be fun to revisit some of those locations. Like they showed the police department, which is where you spend like half the time in Resident Evil like 2 and 3, like, or I guess more. It's hard to keep track of which one's which because they're so similar.
Yeah.
I guess 2 is the one that spends like half the game at that police department. Like you spend a shit ton of time there, and then 3 you very briefly revisit it. So I think it'll be fun to revisit it again. But like I don't know if you'll even have a set piece in there or if you just walk by it on the outside. But either way, I don't know. I think for me like that's such a fun part about those games, like piecing together the different locales, and I'm sure we'll get a sort of best of some of these locations. So
yeah.
we'll see what the kind of scale of it is.
And like you said, that could be it. It could just be like a perfect just combination of all, like, that's hard to do. This is a long franchise, but maybe that's what this is. Maybe it's just like a good stew. And it's just like, man, this is a nice, hearty, thick, tasty stew and all that's together and it works really good. So, and that could be it. And that could be something that put me over the edge. At least I should try to catch up on 8 before, but February, that's right around the corner. I know people don't think that, but it is. Like we're here. It'll be over before you know it.
Yep.
You got Switch, you got fall, so.
I think with Resident Evil, like games are super short. Like I think
Yes.
when I did 3 remake, I think my first playthrough was like 6 or 7 hours long. Like it's a short game, by modern
True.
standards. And I think 8, maybe it was like 10 hours for me or something like that. Like pretty easy to get through them as long as you have them. Then I think they're pretty easy to plug through. But I'm gonna look into Outbreak because I'll find out some more info about that, and I'll probably try and play through that. I've always been playing through some Resident Evil stuff. Like every October now, I just play a couple scary games and always throw Resident Evil in there. So I'm gonna put Outbreak on my list, and I don't even know where that is.
It's so funny, just like the time difference of when you're a child. Like I just remember playing those games forever and it feeling like it took such
well, they have
long
a shit ton of
time.
replayability. So if you want
Yeah.
to do stuff over and over again, get like combos and new weapons and different playthroughs and things, you can. But at least for one playthrough, which is what I do these days, it's pretty easy to plug through them.
Also, this is back a couple things. I didn't see this, but Superbad Mike, which is some subtle shade. I don't think Patrick Gibson is a big get. You think he is. I don't think he's a big get. I just mean like when Dylan's saying like, hey, this show's not much. That's what I'm just saying, like, do something. Like just like anything in Iowa. But like, shout out to young Dexter. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks like Outbreak was a PS2 game. So I'm trying to see if it's like back compat on like PlayStation Plus or something like that. OG RE2 and 3 are coming because remember they in the state of play on
Yes.
whatever they had the 2 and 3 OG games, but I hope if Outbreak's not in there, I hope it does get added because I don't know how else you'd really play it on like a modern thing. I don't know if it's on Steam or anything.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. I think that was everything for the showcase. I think for my score, I'm going to give it a 2.5. That maybe sounds more harsh than it is, but I think that, I don't know. I think this just needed some more sauce. There's a couple of good announcements in there, but overall I thought it was just like a bunch of mid kind of things and then a couple highlights, but 2.5 for me, yeah. Out of 5, to be clear.
That's exactly where I am. 2.5.
Oh, hello.
I think it would have been. I was the whole time I was kind of thinking it was a 3, and not just because the last guy, the make FPS great again, but there was just
that got dropped
something-
at least a 0.5 or a full point for me.
there was just something about the overall pacing of the show as well for me that I can sometimes say, okay, not everything's here for me, but the show was made very well. I don't think this was a made very well show. It felt like more like, oh, if you would have gone back in history and see one of Jeff's first shows, like, oh, okay, this makes sense for how experienced he is and how much he's done. I don't know what, like you said, there's still lots of great stuff they pull off. Don't get me wrong. Just felt unorganized and not the usual smoothness of the Game Awards team. But that makes it very easy next year for the expectations now, I'd imagine. So, but who knows? Again, if next year could be the same thing, where Xbox, Sony, other companies like, yeah, we're gonna do our own thing. Jeff, we don't need you to. Thanks for being here, but we don't need you this year. So.
You're out, Norman.
You're out, Norman.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really
Again,
watch the whole show, so I'll drop 1.5 peas in a pod.
Oh,
Whatever
lies
that
of
means.
pea in a pod, or
No lies, true peas.
trues of peas of a pod? Okay. Yeah, quick, shout out Mike here. His highlights were Lies of P DLC, which is an out today thing, which is cool, and Code Vein 2, which I don't think any of us really have much to add on this, so I didn't bring them up. But yeah, like there are, I think, things that I didn't even mention here that are going to be big deals for some people, especially if you're anime fans or dark fantasy Souls-like fans. You're probably eating good here. Yeah, so shout outs to those. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching this or watching the live stream I did earlier today. Xbox is happening on Sunday. And yeah, we'll be back on Sidequest Tuesday to cover all of that. So thank you for listening. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.